Chicago, February 14, 1929. A day for lovers and a day for executions. Inside a nondescript garage on North Clark Street, 7 men were told to face the wall. They thought it was a police shakedown. They were wrong. Minutes later, the floor was painted red, and the American Mafia was changed forever. Born in Brooklyn, New York, on January 17, 1899, Alphonse Gabriel Capone began his life. His parents, Teresa and Gabriele, were Italian immigrants from Angri, a town near Naples. His father earned a living as a barber, while his mother worked as a seamstress. The family reached America in 1893, traveling from Fiume, Austria-Hungary, via ship. They first lived at 95 Navy Street before moving to Park Slope when Al was 11. Capone was one of 9 children, including his brother James, who became a lawman. His other siblings included Ralph Bottles, Frank, John, Albert, Matthew, and Mafalda. Ralph and Frank were key partners in Al's later notorious criminal organization. Frank was killed in 1924, while Ralph managed the family's bottling interests. Ralph eventually served as the outfit's frontman until his 1932 tax evasion conviction. Though a capable student, Capone struggled with the rigid rules of Catholic school. At 14, his education ended after he physically assaulted a female teacher. He then held various Brooklyn jobs, working in bowling alleys and candy shops. Between 1916 and 1918, he spent time playing semi-professional baseball. During this era, he met Johnny Torrio, the mobster who became his primary mentor. Capone wed Mae Josephine Coughlin on December 30th, 1918, when he was 19. The couple had already welcomed their only son, Albert Sonny Capone, that month. Sonny suffered from significant hearing loss throughout his childhood years. Because Al was a minor, his parents provided written permission for the wedding. Despite his outside life, the pair reportedly maintained a very happy marriage. Alphonse joined street gangs like the Bowery Boys before moving to the 5 Points Gang. While working for Frankie Yale at a Coney Island club, he insulted a female patron. Her brother slashed Capone's face, leaving scars that earned him a hated nickname. To hide the marks in photos, he often claimed they were honorable war wounds. Friends called him Snorky, a slang term referencing his style as a sharp dresser. In 1919, he moved to Chicago at Johnny Torrio's request to work for Jim Colosimo. Starting as a bouncer, he likely contracted syphilis, which he never sought to treat. Around 1923, he bought a Chicago home for $5,500 and moved his family in. Violence followed. A hijacker was killed in 1924 for interfering with their trade. By then, Capone was even gaining public notice as a local boxing promoter. Torrio took over the empire after Colosimo's murder, with Al as his top lieutenant. Torrio tried to maintain peace, but tensions rose with Dean O'Banion's Northsiders. After Torrio had O'Banion killed in 1924, a bloody revenge cycle was ignited. During Prohibition, Capone smuggled Canadian liquor while dodging questions of his travels. The RCMP found no proof he entered Canada, despite his many reported hideouts. Following a 1925 assassination attempt, a wounded Torrio retired and gave Al control. Capone expanded the empire, using bombings and payoffs to secure his dominance. He often hired black citizens and supported jazz stars like Earl Hines and Milt Hinton. Statistically, Capone's reach was vast, employing thousands across various demographics. He styled himself a businessman who simply fulfilled a public demand for vice. He seized control of Cicero through intimidation to create a safe base of operations. The Northsiders nearly killed him in 1926 with a massive submachine gun ambush. Capone responded by killing Jaime Weiss, yet he remained paranoid about his safety. To escape the heat, he bought a massive $40,000 estate on Florida's Palm Island. Internal strife grew when Al's ally, Antonio Lombardo, took over the Unione Siciliana. A rival, Joe Aiello, felt slighted and launched a series of failed hits on Capone. Aiello even tried to poison Al's soup, but the chef alerted Capone to the plot. In retaliation, Capone's men riddled Aiello's family bakery with over 200 bullets. Aiello then put a $50,000 bounty on Al, leading to the deaths of 10 aspiring gunmen. Frank Nitti's spy network protected Al, even shooting a double agent on the west side. Police eventually caught Aiello's hitmen, but Al's gunmen surrounded the station. Aiello fled to New Jersey, but the political graft in Chicago continued to grow. Capone allegedly gave $250,000 to help William Hale Thompson win the mayoral seat. On the 1928 Pineapple primary, Al's bombers killed 15 to secure the vote. This included the murder of black lawyer Octavius Granati to suppress the opposition. By 1929, the press linked Capone to numerous high-profile murders across the nation. In 1929, the St. Valentine's Day Massacre occurred, a hit Al likely ordered from Florida. The goal was to kill Bugs Moran, whose gang had been hijacking Capone's liquor shipments. Disguised as police, Capone's gunmen executed 7 men against a warehouse wall. Moran escaped the slaughter, but the horrific photos permanently damaged Al's public image. To repair his reputation, Capone funded local charities and opened a Chicago soup kitchen. The public outcry over the massacre eventually helped Anton Chermak win the mayoral race. Capone famously maintained control by using others to perform his most violent orders. In 1929, he allegedly beat 3 internal conspirators with a bat before having them shot. Historians debate if Al personally swung the bat or simply let his men handle the task. Regardless of the details, the story was used to solidify his status as a terrifying leader. In 1930, Capone finally eliminated his persistent rival, Joe Aiello, in a brutal ambush. Aiello was caught in a crossfire of submachine guns as he exited a Chicago apartment. The lawlessness prompted President Hoover to launch a federal assault on the outfit. Agencies targeted Capone's finances, while Eliot Ness's Untouchables raided his breweries. Al was first jailed for contempt and then for carrying a gun in Philadelphia in 1929. Upon his release, the Chicago Crime Commission named him Public Enemy Number 1. He faced further legal battles in Florida and Chicago, eventually receiving a contempt term. By 1930, investigators utilized new tax laws to target the wealth of organized crime figures. The Supreme Court ruled that even illegal income was subject to federal income taxes. Capone's own lawyers inadvertently handed the government evidence of his taxable earnings. In 1931, Al was indicted on 22 counts of tax evasion and thousands of prohibition counts. A judge rejected a plea bargain, forcing Capone to face a full trial for his financial crimes. The defense was weak, claiming his massive spending came from untaxed gambling winnings. The government proved he evaded $215,000 in taxes on over $1 million in income. Capone was convicted and sentenced to 11 years in prison, plus heavy financial fines. His appeals failed, as judges ruled his time in Florida didn't count toward the statute of limits. In a final interview, Al claimed he was a businessman who was simply misunderstood. He blamed a vigilante group called the Secret Six for finally dismantling his rackets. In 1932, he entered Atlanta's prison, where doctors found he had advanced syphilis. Due to his notoriety and rumors of special treatment, he was moved to Alcatraz in 1934. He was stabbed by an inmate in 1936, but his health was failing due to neurosyphilis. At Alcatraz, he joined the prison band and composed music for his beloved wife, May. By 1938, his mental state had collapsed, leaving him confused and highly disoriented. He was paroled in 1939, as his wife successfully argued his mind was completely gone. Frank Nitti took over the outfit, which continued to run with a much lower public profile. The syndicate shifted toward labor racketeering and gambling once Prohibition was repealed. Capone sought treatment in Baltimore, later donating cherry trees to the hospital there. He retired to his Florida mansion, becoming one of the first people treated with penicillin. By 1946, exams showed the once-feared boss had the mental capacity of a 12-year-old. Al Capone died of heart failure in 1947 and was eventually buried in Hillside, Illinois.